What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another live stream. Make sure, yeah, everything's working. Although I can't see the chat. Let's get this chat pulled up here. How's everyone going? How's everyone going? How's everyone doing? Let me know where you're tuning in from, as always, if you're watching live or if you are watching the replay. Let's see here. There's the chat. Corey, I'm here for Penny. Yeah, she's joining me today, although she may just decide she's bored within about 5 minutes or so and bail. But for now, she's here. All right, today we're talking about this. This is the Otera Guitars TK1. And if you haven't seen, this is a new guitar brand that was launched officially yesterday by my really, really good friend and guitar YouTube creator, Samurai Guitarist, also known as Steve. Do people know his name? I feel like everyone just calls him Sammy G. So this is a really cool guitar. We're going to talk about it today. We're going to get into the guitar itself. We're going to talk about the good stuff, the stuff I like. I was going to say the bad stuff, but honestly, I don't really have anything bad to say about it. Before we get into it, though, this is not sponsored. I don't have any kind of affiliate link or anything with Steve or Sammy G or the Otera brand. He did send me this guitar several weeks ago. He did not ask for any kind of video or any kind of live stream or any coverage whatsoever. This is something that I have watched him work on and talked with him about for the last, 3 years, I want to say, 3.5 years. I was there basically when this idea was hatched, more or less, or at least at the very, very early stages of this idea. And so I'm really proud of him. Sammy G, Steve is a really close friend of mine. We've been close friends for a few years. Just truly one of the best people that I know. He is a trusted friend, not so, both in the way that we do the same job and we get to talk about this stuff a lot, but just, yeah, he's a down-to-earth, real guy. So to see him take on a project as big and challenging as this, launching your own guitar brand, and to get it across the finish line, especially given the challenges of the last 7 or 8 months, which we will talk about. I'm really proud of him, man. This is a really cool thing, launching your own guitar brand. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the guitar. As always, though, let me know where you're tuning in from. Richmond, Virginia. Nice. Bangor, Maine. Awesome. San Antonio. Really cool. Yeah. For reference, I've got the guitar plugged into the front of my Axe FX3, and I'm using a Soldano SLO profile that I've sort of modded and played around with. Kind of a spacey, vibey 80s thing. There's a chorus on it, but I turned the chorus off because I want to be able to kind of hear the guitar. So yeah, this is the TK1. Obviously, it's a T-style guitar. The shape is really interesting. Sammy G came up with the shape himself, which I actually think is really well done. It's got some Frank Brothers sort of vibes to it. It's got some offset it's slightly offset in a nice way. I really love the headstock design. If you watched his video that he made on this whole process, this was one of the things that they sort of reiterated and changed, and I'm glad that they did. I was not a fan of the first headstock shape. It was a bit of a canoe paddle, and I think this is a much nicer shape. Also, the color, dude. The color's rad. I wouldn't normally go for this shade of green here. I don't even know what you would call this like emerald green maybe, but I don't know. I think it looks great. Set of Seymour Duncan pickups in here. Noiseless P90, noiseless single coil telly style. And the bridge, you've got proper brass saddles on the bridge, which is objectively the correct way to do a Tele style bridge. And it sounds great, man. There's a 4-way switch on it, so that was the bridge. There's middle position. And here's the neck. And then we got the 4th position, which is both pickups in series. I believe series, or maybe parallel. I can't remember. Add a little more gain here. There we go. Wait, am I clipping? That got way louder in my headphones. Is that clipping? Been on a bit of an 80s kick recently, if you can't tell by all the delay and the chorus. So yeah, that's the TK1. I mean, it's pretty straight ahead, you know. Philip McKnight did a great breakdown video on it. If you want to get into like the specs and everything, I watched his video this morning. It was really thorough and well done, as most of the stuff I've seen from Philip is. But there's only 100 available, and I was talking to Steve right before we went live. I think these things are going to be gone before the end of the week, personally. It's a bit nerve-wracking, you know, launching something like this, launching your own brand, and having to front the cost of it, which he did. He partnered with Court, so these are made in Indonesia by Court. You can see the logo on the back of the headstock, and that to me is the only critique that I have. And I told Steve this when I first got the guitar. He was asking me what I thought about it, and once I got it set up, I put 9s on it. The action needed to be lowered quite a bit, but that, you know, is what it is. Could have happened in shipping or anything like that. Out of the box, the build quality is solid, as is the case with Court guitars. If you don't know, Court's a manufacturer, I believe, based in Indonesia. Yeah, and they build a lot of sort of spec guitars for other bigger brands. And this thing feels great. Like, the fit and finish is totally there, especially for a $1,200 guitar. I mean, it really is well spec'd out. It's well thought out, and it's well built. There's no fret sprout. The neck feels great. It's this slightly satin finish thing. The only thing that I didn't like about it, and I told Steve this, is the Court logo. So when you get it, it comes with a nice soft gig bag, nice soft case. And it has the Court logo on the front. It has the Court logo on the back of the headstock. And there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with Court as a company or anything. But I think if you're someone who's trying to start a brand and you're trying to get this thing off the ground and you want people to pay attention to it and like sort of buy into it and invest in it, I think little things like that matter. You know, the Cort branding sort of takes away in some respects from the Otera brand, which I think is cool. I think that the Otera name and the Japanese, which I believe says guitar on it. I don't know. I can't read that, but I think that's really cool. And yeah, just a minor gripe. And I think that's probably the case because, you know, I don't know the details of the deal or anything that he made with Cort. He got 100 guitars made for this first run. I believe there's going to be another run, but they're going to be different in some way. I don't know what is different about it. I don't know if it's just going to be a different color or it's just going to be a different pickup combination or if it's going to be a completely new guitar. I don't know. But I think the idea was to see how this first 100 went. You know, did it sell out in a few days or a few weeks, or would he end up just sitting on these guitars for a while? And yeah, I talked to him just before we went live here. There's still a handful of them available. I don't know exact numbers, but I think these are going to be gone by the end of the week. Again, I don't have any affiliate with this. I'm not making any money off of this. He just sent me the guitar because he's a friend of mine. But yeah, that's it, man. I think it's a really cool guitar. And it leads to this bigger question of, is there a place for YouTube creators / influencers to be launching their own brands? Obviously, Rob Chapman has been doing this for a while. And there's a few other people that are like Ola England and Solar. So this has been done before, but I'm surprised that we haven't seen more of the bigger creators start to do this. I mean, Samurai Guitarist has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. It's a pretty big channel. Do you think there's a place for this? As people that watch YouTube and guitar YouTube specifically, is this something that you're interested in? I think it's really cool. I think this Otera brand, especially with the idea of doing limited releases like this, where there's a drop that happens, there's only so many available, and then that's all that will ever be made of that model, I think is a really cool way to do it, rather than trying to do, you know, a standard production model line. Corey, is it a normal size guitar or am I just a giant? Yeah, it's a normal size guitar. Should get a telly for scale over here. But this opens the door for sort of crowdsourcing some of these ideas, for bringing in some, you know, let the community decide and build a guitar. Yeah, I don't know. Am I spitballing the Shullcaster? Kind of. So, like I said, I've been watching this whole process from the sidelines from the very jump. I remember having conversations with Steve, Sammy G, at NAMM 3 years ago or 4 years ago, whenever it was, about this idea. And that's part of what's so cool about this to me, is to see it like cross the finish line and see it, you know, here. And there's a real guitar going from the drawing that he showed me on his phone to this is cool, man. It's really, really cool. And even if there's only 100 of these that ever exist, that's it. That's cool. He did it. You know, he launched a guitar brand. I have been cautiously waiting to see how this goes, especially because of the tariffs. You know, back in January of this year when we were at NAMM, those before the tariffs and everything came down. And at that point, Steve was ready to launch this brand within a few weeks or a few months. I don't know when the original launch date was set for, but the guitars were basically done. They were on their way, and we were excited. The way he was talking about it was like, man, this is great. Like, you know, you've got to do this. This will be really cool. And then the tariffs hit, and I got permission from him right before we went live to share this. So the tariffs did impact the cost of this guitar. He didn't tell me exact numbers, but he did not raise the price. He just ate the difference, basically. He let it cut into his margin, because the entire time through the design process and the iterations of these guitars and the prototypes, that I think they had a price point, or at least a range of price in mind, which they got to with this, which is right at $1,299. What is this at? $1,199. And then the tariffs hit $1,299, so $1,300 US. And then the tariffs hit, and rather than raise the price to keep his margin intact, he didn't do that, which is commendable. But as a business person, someone who's trying to launch a brand, like, that's a pretty scary thing. So, yeah, to see the initial response this week, I think is really encouraging. Like I said, I think these will all be gone in a few days. Let's see here. Yeah, true. Margins can't be worth it, right? I mean, the margins aren't as big as people think. I've seen some pushback in his video and other people talking about this guitar. A lot of people complaining about the price. And I actually think this is right on the money, so to speak. This is for $1,300 US. This is exactly the level of guitar you would want for that money. I don't think it's overpriced at all. And when you compare it to other stuff that's in that same price range, which would be like Vintera 2 from Fender, which is going to be that $1,100, $1,200, $1,300 range, depending on what you're looking at. Some of the PRS stuff, like, this guitar is as good or better than those other guitars, especially out of the box. So again, I think that's just the nature of where we're at now, with inflation and with the tariffs and the cost of doing business just getting as high as it is now. Things are getting more expensive. But again, I commend Steve for not raising the prices to compensate for these things getting hit by the tariffs. Now, it did delay the launch of this brand for about 4 months as they were trying to figure all that stuff out. And I can imagine that was really nerve-wracking, because, you know, you got a lot of money tied up in 100 guitars that are coming over from Indonesia, and you don't know if they're going to be able to enter the country or not, and if what the tariff cost is going to be, and all that kind of stuff. But they got it here. So Jeff in Texas, $1,300 is the same as the $300 Squire I bought in 1990. Is that true? $300 in 1990 is $1,300 today. Raven, in what Southeast Asian country is the Core factory? This is Indonesia. The shape matters. Actually, the shape is incredibly comfortable. I don't know if he had that in mind when he drew this out on a piece of paper. My guess is it was more of an aesthetic choice, but the guitar sits really well balanced. Super comfortable. As comfortable as a bleacher seat. Yeah. Has anybody in the chat, has anybody bought one of these yet? Oh, I forgot. was supposed to plug at the beginning. I always forget to do this in these live streams. We're running a sale right now on the Tone bundle. This is a bundle of 2 of my courses, the Tone course and the Amp course. Right now you can get both courses for 50% off if you use the code TONE at checkout. Link is in the description of this video. So go check that out. We decided to bundle those 2 courses together because I feel like they go pretty well together. So yeah, check that out. Tonesmith, is the headstock angled back or is that just the lens? The headstock is angled, which I think is a nice touch. It helps get the breakover angle on the nut here where it needs to be, which should help with tuning stability. He also redesigned the headstock as a way to sort of get the strings more in line with the tuners coming from the nut. So it's a straight, close to a straight shot from the nut slot to the tuner here on the D and G string. I think it's a great looking guitar. I think he should do, if it were me, assuming these first 100 sell out pretty quickly, which I think they will, the next run, I would think about a different color and then maybe a different pickup combination. I would love to see this in a humbucker design or a Strat, like triple single coil design, or maybe some kind of trim, like a Duesenberg less trim on here, I think would be really, really cool. Not a Bigsby though. I feel like a Bigsby wouldn't fit the vibe of this. The guitar is like if the St. Vincent met Bo Diddley. Yeah. You're not wrong there. It does have some St. Vincent kind of vibe to it. Yeah, but it does have me sort of considering doing this kind of thing. Again, watching Steve go through this whole process, it is a ton of work. Ton of work. It's not for the faint of heart. And there's not as much money in it as you think. You know, again, I don't know the exact margins, but he and I have talked and I have a general idea, and it's not... like the pushback I've seen people say in the comments, you know, it's like, oh, it's way overpriced, and, you know, why do these YouTubers need to be making all this money? You're really not making that much money on these guitars, especially given now with the tariffs. It's just eating into his margin. So I think this is definitely a labor of love thing, and it is a cool thing to have your own guitar brand. You know, it's rad. It sounds great though, man. I've never owned these Seymour Duncan pickups. Initially, yeah, so the only thing I don't really love about the overall sound and feel of the guitar is the bridge pickup is a little dark for my taste. In fact, let's switch profiles here. Let me see, pull up the Axe effects. You guys see that? Yeah. All right, so that's the Soldano preset. Let's go to I have this AC20 Deluxe preset on here that I've been using for years and years. Like I said, I'm on kind of an 80s kick right now, so forgive me. let's tame this down a little bit. Let's get the delay in the chorus out of here. Leave the compressor in for now. Let's see here. Jamie Brown, waiting for recognition. Only a few days ago, Rhett ripped the crap out of a guitar that looked just like this. If you think the Bleacher guitar from Dipped in Tone looked just like this, you might need to get your vision checked. That guitar, which I went back and read the comments, and for context, if you don't know, on Dipped in Tone, the podcast that I do with Zach from Mythos, we have our patrons submit their rigs to be rated. We call it dipping. And this guy, Colton, submitted a rig. It was totally normal, totally cool. 2 amp setup, 2 telly setup, nice little pedal board. And then the most god-awful, horrible-looking guitar I've ever seen in my life. And it was made from the Bleacher seat from his high school where he used to sit in pep band, which is cool. Now, I made a comment about it looking like it had been cut out by a 5-year-old with a jigsaw. And then he came back and added some context in the comments, which, Colton, if you're watching, it would have been nice to know this in the email that you sent. But he said something along the lines of like the shape had been drawn by, I think like his 5-year-old nephew or a young kid drew the shape, and then he did the best to cut it out. And it looks like that. It looks like a 5-year-old drew it, and then he cut it out. Doesn't change my rating. I still think it's awful and one of the ugliest guitars I've ever seen. But it does not look like this guitar at all. It just really doesn't. Go back and watch the episode. You can skip to the end when we dip the rig. I think the chapter markers are in there if you want to check it out. But it's very, very different than this. I put 9s on it, restrung it right before we went live. So these are fresh strings. And I did a quick setup for the 9s, but I should probably spend a little more time getting the intonation, everything set. Collab with Driftwood Guitars for making 100 acoustic style D1 guitars at a reasonable price. See, that's a different thing. Reasonable price is subjective, and that's a different, reasonable is a different level for everybody. But let's just call it $1,500 for the sake of argument. Matt and Chris can't build a guitar for anything close to that price because they're building everything from scratch by hand, and the time it takes to build a Driftwood acoustic guitar is months and months and months. And Chris has been doing it for a really long time. Chris and Matt have been doing it for a really, really long time. And so that's what you're paying for when you're paying for a super premium custom built instrument from the ground up that's built for you and your playing style. That's what they do over at Driftwood. Yeah, that's not, you would have to like design it and prototype it and then do sort of what Sammy G did with this and find a manufacturer overseas that could get your design made at scale for a certain price. And I just don't know if that's possible. To do that, like if I was going to do that with Matt and Chris, that guitar, I don't know, it would depend on what it was and what features it had and everything, but I feel like that guitar would be $3,000-$4,000 realistically to build 100 of them to Driftwood's spec and to my spec for acoustics and what we're looking for. It would be an expensive guitar. So that's the thing about this, you know, launching your own brand. It's not easy. It's not just like coming up with a shape and an idea and then finding a factory overseas that'll build it for you. And then you just, you know, get them shipped over and you make a video and you sell them all. Like there's a lot of consideration and a lot of time and energy spent into doing something like this. And Steve talks about it in his video, Sammy G, that this took years. And again, when they thought it was across the finish line, then these ridiculously stupid tariffs came up and derailed pretty much the whole operation, and they still got it across the line, which I commend them for. They got it across the line without raising the price, which is great. So yeah. See, now with that compressor on, that actually sounds quite nice. Let me go back to, let's see here. That's now giving me that top end out of the bridge pickup that I was missing earlier. Let's see. You know when you haven't played a riff in a long time, and you have to kind of like unpack it. It's like your brain has to open up that filing cabinet drawer and like find the file that has that riff in it and pull it out. That's what I'm doing right now. See, now that sounds very, very telly-ish. Now that's quite nice. Let's get a different sound pulled up here. What do I have? I haven't dug into this preset in a while. That is a lot of gain. Let's pull that down. Pull the bass cut down. Add some of this. What is this reverb? Not doing anything. From the sounds of it. What does this one do? Huh. Wonder why those reverbs aren't. Oh, that's nice. Weird. Must be a bug. Am I doing something wrong? Axe Effects, any Axe Effects pros in the chat here? That was just working a second ago, right? My Maserati does 185. Let's see here. Affordable solid body guitars is doable, but not acoustically unless you're going to build like 10,000 of them. Yeah, that's the thing, is you have to, it's the economy of scale, right? If you have more money up front to invest in a higher number of orders, then you get the overall cost per unit down. But when it's basically just one guy who's got an idea and wants to get it off the ground, like even 100 guitars, which is what he spec'd in this first run, like that's a big initial investment. It's a big gamble to take when you've never done anything like this before and you don't know how something's going to go. And I remember talking to him about it over the last couple of years, like at every step of the process, just kind of hearing how hard it is to do. It is not for the faint of heart. So that's why I'm sort of cautiously like, I don't know. I think if this was a year ago, I'd be having a very different conversation around this stuff right now. I'd be saying like, oh yeah, I'd be on the phone with, either Court or, somebody else and designing something and getting it off the ground. Right now, I'm not sure. Yeah, especially with these tariffs, because we just don't know what's going to happen. And this is a process that like once you get it rolling and once you get it going, you kind of have to commit to it. And otherwise, you can, once you get to a certain point in the process, you can be out a whole lot of money. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I think if I was going to do something, because I've been thinking about this the last couple of days, watching Otera Guitars launch, I'm like, okay, what would I do? And I don't know. I don't have a clear idea as of yet, but I love the look of a Duesenberg guitar, for example. I think they have some of the coolest aesthetic of any guitars that are made today. Obviously, I'm a huge Novo fan. I mean, it'd be cool to partner. I think what I would want to do is partner with a designer and do like a guitar with a designer. Almost like, I mean, I don't know anything about the fashion industry, clearly. But from what I know about it, like, you have these different fashion brands that'll do collabs with one another. And it'd be cool to have a guitar brand that would collaborate with a Dennis Fano, for example. And we do a design of a guitar together, and then we do a drop, and we have whatever, 500 of them, let's say, for example. And then that's that model. And then we could do iterations and variations on that, but it's like this model here of having a certain number that you drop, and then when they're gone, they're gone, I think is actually a really cool way to do it. Both for the people that buy it, because then they know that, oh, I've got a special piece. There's only 100 of these guitars that exist. And then from the business perspective, it is easier to sell because you have that that urgency, right? And the demand is there because people know there's only a limited number of these things. It kind of works both ways there. So yeah, I don't have a clear picture of like, oh man, I'm going to start a guitar brand and this is what I'm going to do. It's going to be, you know, a Strat style with this. I don't know, but I think it would be cool to partner with guitar designers and do specific things in different categories, you know? Yeah. And then there's the other side of it too, which is like from the business side. There's a big difference between doing something like this and doing a signature guitar. I've seen a few people. So Ed Sheeran collaborated with Loudon for Sheeran Guitars, and I don't know exactly what the deal is there with that Ed Sheeran has with Loudon, but as an artist, when you do a signature piece of gear, like a signature guitar, for example, generally, as the artist, you are set to make, I mean, when I've been in discussions about it, the number is somewhere in like the 5% range. It's less than 10%. That's not across the board. Obviously, it's different for different artists and different guitars and everything, but the numbers are lower than you might expect when it comes to signature gear. And I think that's something that's not very well known or talked about in the guitar community. Is like, people think, oh, when you've got a signature guitar, you're just making tons of money. Probably not. I mean, unless you are an Ed Sheeran or John Mayer with the Silver Sky. I mean, I imagine Mayer's made, God, crazy amounts of money off that guitar. I don't know, but you would think, right? For most other like signature guitars, you don't make that much money. So doing what Sammy G has done here from a business perspective is way smarter, because now you're not a signature artist promoting a guitar's brand. You're promoting a guitar brand that you own. And yes, you're taking the initial risk and investment but the payoff is much higher. You're more like a dealer in terms of margins than you are an artist making, 5-7% per guitar. You might be making, and this is not, I don't know what the margins are here, what the actual numbers are here, but like, let's just say you're making 30 points, 35 points on it. That's a much better deal for you. And when you're in the position like Steve is, Sammy G, or me here with this channel, or Corey's here in the chat, like, we've done all this work and built an audience, and so you can sort of cut out the middleman, so to speak. Like, why partner with a big guitar brand who's going to take 95% of the cost? Obviously, they're going to front the initial build cost. There's definitely pros to it. It's not a bad deal always, and you get to do it exactly how you want. You get to brand it how you want. You get complete and total control over the entire process. It's way more work, and it's way more risk involved, but the payoff much higher. Corey, Martin dropped the ball with Ed Sheeran, hence his move to Loudon. I'm sure there are other reasons too. Yeah, I mean, that Fender did that with John Mayer, right? Like, I don't know exactly what happened there, and I actually don't even know that I knew Ed Sheeran was part of Martin. I'll be honest with you, I don't know much about Ed Sheeran. More his music. Not my thing. Tone Smith, what would your signature look like with one of the big brands? Les Paul, Strat, Fun Parts, etc. I'm talking dream signature model here. You know, I think if Gibson came to me today and was like, hey, we want to do a signature model, it would probably be a 335. Just because I think that's the best. It's definitely the best Gibson ever made. Arguably one of, if not the best electric guitars ever made. An ES 335. Maybe black ebony board, gold hardware, aged. Maybe there'd be a Murphy Lab version, and then there'd be like a more affordable, quote unquote, version. But yeah, just a really nice black 335 or Sunburst 335, like a 64, with a great set of PAFs in it, unpotted. I'd go to throwback for the PAFs. I'd take the PAFs that are in my R9 right now, and I'd put those in completely unpotted. So they'd be loud and they'd squeal and they'd feedback, but they'd be so sensitive and so dynamic and like pick up everything happening inside the guitar. Yeah. If I was working with Fender, I'd want to do some kind of telly, but I don't know. See, the thing is, I play a lot of different stuff. So it's hard to like nail down one thing. Would you do long ears or short ears on the 60th? Oh, on the 335. I do the short ears. Jeremy, hot take. I don't want any names or logos on my guitars ever. You do not prefer it. So you like the clean, you like just the parts caster look where you just don't, you have the Fender headstock, which is nothing on it. That's interesting. I put my camera in a really bad place. It's blocking the chat. I'm having to like lean over and see. Man, that's interesting with the microphone picking it up. I'm getting a very like Dan Huff kind of sound right now. Let's see if I can get this reverb to work. The delay's working, the reverb's not working. Weird. I feel like RJ Ronquillo would be proud of this tone. Know what I mean? Let's go to the neck pickup and see how. Ooh, that's nice. I like what Pete Thorne did with his signature. It's not loud. It's on the back of the headstock. Yeah, I've been looking at that Sir, the Pete Thorne Sir. It's really nice. Really, really nice. You thought the RL Posen Strat looked sick. Yeah, they did look cool. I haven't played one, but... Jared, you know the Pink Novo is already considered your signature guitar by everyone that watches you for a while now. Yeah, I think if I had... I think that is like the signature. And we've talked about doing it in the past, Dennis and I. It's been a few years since we've sort of revisited that idea. My only hesitation would be that guitar, if I was going to do a signature version of it, when I bought it in 2017, it was $4,000 because it had all the features on it, you know. And I didn't order it that way. That's how it was ordered by the shop that I bought it from. And so if we were going to do that as a signature guitar today, it would be really expensive. I don't know exactly what the number would be. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about putting my name on something that is a stretch financially for most people out there. I think if I was going to do a signature thing with my name on it, I'd want to do something like what Steve has done here and make it attainable for people. It's not completely affordable. $1,300 is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. But compared to what, that Novo cost, $4,000 in 2017, this is much more attainable. And so I think that's what I would want to do, is put something out there that like someone could get their hands on with, without too much financial burden, if that makes sense. I'd want it to be at a certain level of parts and components and quality and build, but I would want to make it attainable. And that's what they've done here, man. I think this guitar is perfectly priced. I think it's right in the correct slot and the correct price point. It's built incredibly well. It's unique. It looks great. It sounds great. It's got some good features on it. The 4-way selector switch, it's cool, man. It's really, really cool. God, I really like that sound. Listen to this. Hold on. That's nice. Kind of turn the pick to the side a little bit and get that. It's Little Wing, but 1983. Let's go to the series position. Sean, I want to be reincarnated as the dog on the couch. Yeah, that's Penny. Penny has a cushy life around here. Whoever she was in a previous life, she must have been good, because yeah, she landed a sweet gig here with us. Is that the guitar made by Samurai Guitarists? Yes, it is. The Otera TK1. Can Gonna try the guitar with some McGee style sounds. I don't have like an easy McGee sound pulled up right now, but this is, I mean, kind of McGee-ish. Getting the pick in there. So that's neck pickup. Point the mic at the strings here. See what it sounds like with this. I was messing around with the, you can't see it, but I got the Digitact and the OctaTrack here. I was messing around with kind of a drone thing. Can you guys hear that? Yeah, it's metering. This is what I've been doing recently for, instead of practicing guitar. I should have set the other camera up, man. I didn't think I was going to be messing around with this. Let's see. Man, the Digitact and the OctaTrack together are truly one of the best pieces of gear ever. Oh, we got a top chat. Jeremy, thanks, man. What's in the glass? This is an Old Forester bonded bourbon, and I've got an ice cube in it. It's a little watered down at this point, but sorry, I should have set the other camera up to show you. Maybe I could set that up real quick, actually. Let's see here. Stand by. Robert, what's up, man? Did I make all this? So yes, a few of these are loops that I've downloaded in the, oh my God, there we go. Sorry. Into the OctaTrack or the Digitact. Sorry. Like this is a loop that I chopped. That's a loop from a sample pack that I downloaded. That's a drum break. Just a hi-hat loop. Yeah. And then this is a bass sample that I chopped up and did a whole bunch of stuff with. So, Dylan, what's up, man? Really dig the color. Yeah, dude, he's killing it on this. Need more gain. He'll have that Skinemax tone. I mean, I can dial up some gain here. Let me see if I can set up the other camera real quick, and I can show you the setup I've got going here. should have done this before we went live, but I forgot. Just, you know, talk amongst yourselves for a second while I figure this out. I guess now's probably a good time to plug. We got the tone course, the tone bundle on sale right now. You can get 50% off of the tone course and the amp course if you use code tone at checkout. Link is in the description. Really excited about the new bundle. I think it makes a lot of sense for these two courses to go together. The tone course is basically everything that I know and have learned about guitar tone and how it all works and the basics and how to apply it. And then in the amp course, we dive deep into guitar amps and how they work and dialing in different sounds, different concepts, and then how to take all that stuff and apply it to modelers, which is really cool. Here we go, webcam. Yes, okay. Like I said, I should have done this beforehand. Here we go, big bucks. No whammies, does this work? Oh, no, it's not working. Let me see here. Bummer. Well, I don't know why it's not working. Damn. Anyways, I'm using the Octatrack and the Digitact together to create this thing. So that's all coming from the Digitact right now. And I'm using the Octatrack as a performance mixer to do all these like transitional effects. It's a lot of fun. The Digitact from Electron truly is one of my favorite pieces of gear ever. If the house was on fire and I could grab two things, I'd grab a guitar and I'd grab the Digitact. And that would be it. Sounds like an EasyBot Octatrack crossover episode. Yes, it is an EasyBot performance template that I'm using on the Octatrack. In fact, I was just watching EasyBot's live stream as I was setting up for this live stream on the Toneverk, which I'm incredibly excited about. I've got one on the way. And yeah, I was watching him use it with his Octatrack and building effects and everything out of it. It's so fun. So fun. More guitar players need to get into the sampler and groovebox world. I'm telling you, get a sampler. You don't have to buy an Electron or whatever. Actually, I think the best deal to be had right now is a Digitact 1, the predecessor to this box, the Digitact 2. I had a version 1 and was paid full price for it, and then sold it for like $375 to buy the version 2. So you can get a Digitact 1. They're an incredible deal, and they're really, really insanely powerful rather. You can do a ton. Most of what you can do on the Digitact 2, you can do on the Digitact 1. It's an amazing piece of kit. Go get one. Or an SP404, or an MPC, or the Roland P6, Electron, the KO2. No, sorry. Teenage Engineering, the KO2. It's a fun. That one can feel more like a toy sometimes, but yeah, dude, go get a sampler. Go get a groove box. If you're a guitar player, learn about sampling, learn about building some basic grooves, and then play your guitar over it. It's like, yeah. Mark, how do you like the tracker? I actually really like the tracker, the Polyan Tracker Plus. I have it downstairs right now. Initially, the tracker was a little tough for me to sort of wrap my head around. It feels like you're making music on a spreadsheet, but once you understand how it works, it's really fun because it's a completely different way of making music, and your brain just goes to a different place. So you end up making stuff that you wouldn't make, certainly in a DAW, and even on like an Electron box, like an Electron sequencer. Like the stuff that you make on the tracker is very different. It's fun. I wish it was battery powered though. That's the only thing. I'm powering it off of like an external battery right now. It's great little desktop or couch groove box. It's got a built-in radio, so you can sample the radio, which is a ton of fun. Matt W. Used Digitact 2s appear to be going for about $870 on Reverb right now. That's not a bad deal, man. Not a bad deal. I'm surprised you're seeing used ones out there. It seems that most people that end up with a Digitact, like, it ends up becoming a sort of, this is what happened to me. It ends up becoming like a cornerstone piece of gear. You know how we sort of all have that in our setup, whether it's a pedal or an amp or guitar or whatever. You have something that's just kind of like you have a piece of gear that becomes a like thing for you, and you use it a ton to do a lot of different stuff. That is the Digitact for me. I use this thing almost every day now. I love it. And just here, I'll turn the volume down. Just listen to the buttons. Oh. Damn. Just triggered like all 16 samples that were loaded up right now. Man. You should do a high quality digital amp for home versus a high quality tube amp for home video. Assuming you meant video. I think there's a lot of us sometimes wonder if a THR Katana is better than a small 15-watt tube amp. It's a good question. And it comes down to, what do you want to do? What do you need to do? You know, if you're only playing at home and you want to be able to cover a lot of different ground and you don't want to buy a bunch of gear, you don't want to have a ton of pedals and a pedal board and a power supply and all that stuff. Yeah, man. Get a little modeling amp. Get a Katana or the THR or one of those Bluetooth amps we did a video on a few months ago. Those are great. My THR lives down in the living room, and that's what I do. I hook my phone up to it and I play music through it. It's a great Bluetooth speaker, and then I practice through it. You know? Braxel, can you show this device? What's the exact name spelling? Okay, it's plugged in right now, but I will do my best. So this is upside down, but it's, you know what? Here, let me just do this. So this is what you were just listening to. This is a Electron, spelled with a K, Digitact 2. And this is a sampler groove box. So it's not a synthesizer. It only plays samples. It plays audio files. In fact, you can see that waveform right there. Like each time I hit one of these triggers, it's playing a different waveform. Like there's a snare drum, I believe. There's a pre-recorded loop of something. But you can do all kinds of stuff with this little box. You can basically turn it into a synthesizer using single cycle waveforms or using wavetable synthesis. It's, God, I could have a whole YouTube channel basically just dedicated to this and the Electron stuff. And in fact, shout out to EasyBot here on YouTube. He's one of my favorite YouTube creators. I've learned so much from Matthew's videos over the years, especially about the OTRA track and the Digitact. I have the Digitone as well, and the Analog Rhythm drum machine. I'm a big Electron fanboy, if you can't tell. So if you're interested in this, the Digitact 2 came out last year, and most people who had Digitact 1s, like me, ended up putting them up for sale to buy the Digitact 2. So prices on the Digitact 1s plummeted. And I think it's one of the best deals to be had, or at least it was. Let's go to, pull up Chrome here. See, oh, my live stream. See what Digitact 1s are going for. Not the 2. So you can tell it's a Digitact 1 if it has the yellow screen on it. Which these are all 2s. So those are in the Here you go. $491. Someone's asking. Okay, so prices have gone up on them a little bit, it seems. $400 or $500. Still though, this is a really good bundle right here. The Digitone and the Digitact. Someone should grab that. $1,200. I'd make an offer. Make an offer on that. But yeah, man. I sold mine for like $350, I think, $375. I absolutely took a bath on it, but I really wanted the two when it came out. So yeah, go get you one. It's a great piece of kit. Let's see here. When do I use the sampler, Alonzo? Every day. Every day. I've been making music with it. I'm in a place right now where I'm trying to make something every day using a sampler or groove box. A lot of times these are also called groove boxes. I'm not sure what the actual difference is. Someone that knows more than me here in the chat. Can you explain the difference between, like, when would you call something a sampler versus a groove box? I think that's sort of interchangeable. I use it every day. I have found that I really love making music not in a DAW. So for me, being able to interact with a piece of hardware like this or any of the other samplers or groove boxes that I have, I really like doing that because it just it puts some limitations around what you can do. It's not as fully featured as your computer in a DAW, which I think is a good thing. When you learn the specific workflow of a specific sampler or groove box, because they all kind of function differently, they all have different workflows and different approaches. It leads you to make things in a certain way that you wouldn't make outside of that box, if that makes sense. It's not that you couldn't. Everything I do on the Electron, I could do in well, maybe not Pro Tools, in Ableton or Logic or something. But the way that I come about getting these ideas down and into the box here on the Digitact, I don't think I would do in the DAW. You know what I mean? So, Tonesmith, they're mostly interchangeable terms, really depends on the features and the specific device. Yeah, they're just really fun, man. It's a really fun way to make music, and music should be fun above all else. Making music, playing guitar, learning music, learning guitar, it should be fun. If it's not fun, why are we doing any of this stuff? So I have a lot of fun playing with these boxes and learning about them and learning how to make music on them. I've been digging into trying to learn how to make electronic music. Like, I've really started to develop an ear for, you know, the different subgenres of like house and techno and drum and bass and jungle. And like, because I've been trying to make it. And when you do that, you gain sort of a new appreciation for this stuff. And it's not just, you know, 4-on-the-floor, 808 kick drums and whatever. It's actually a ton of nuance and detail and some real incredible musicianship that goes into all these different genres of electronic music or sample-based music, for example. It's just a ton of fun. And then coming at it from a guitar player perspective, being able to make music in this way and then pick up your guitar and be able to play over something that you just made, like I was doing there a second ago. It's really fun, and it makes you a better guitar player. It makes you a more well-rounded musician, at least in my experience. So yeah, I've become kind of an evangelist for the sampler and groove box. Jordan, did you use one of those on your EP? The sample sounded a lot like it. Yeah, I did. I used the Digitact 1 and 2 on the EP. I used the OP1 from Teenage Engineering a lot. Most of the synth sounds that you hear on that are the OP1. And which to me, that's the hardest sampler to learn. I only use the OP1 as a synthesizer. I can't figure out how to like make music on it. Braxel, do you use the box as it is or with a keyboard attached to it? I can take this with an external battery on a plane and I can plug my headphones into it, and I could make an entire album on this box. People do. I haven't yet, but you can do fully fleshed out arrangements and songs and entire sets. People will perform entire sets of live music with this, and maybe, you know, another popular Electron box to pair with the Digitact is the Digitone, which is this. Now this is a synthesizer, FM synthesis, really powerful tool. It'll do a bunch of different stuff, really fun. And those two together are an amazing combination. I'm still new to the Digitone. I've only had it for a few months and haven't really wrapped my head around FM synthesis yet. But yeah, but you can also plug a keyboard into it. You can plug an external MIDI controller into it. You can sync it up with Ableton and have Ableton do a whole bunch of stuff with it. You can, what a lot of people will do is they'll build out, like that thing that I was just playing, call it a sketch, right? Call it an idea. And you chop all your samples, you get the arrangements together, you get the song together, and then you plug it up via USB, and you open up your DAW, Ableton, Logic, whatever, and then you just dump the stems out of the box into your DAW, and then you finish the song in the DAW. You can do it that way. You can go completely DAW-less and do everything just in the box. It's awesome. Yeah, FM synthesis is not easy to understand. I will tell you, if you're new to this world and you're like, oh, I want to get a synthesizer, maybe I'll start with this because in my opinion, I would not start with this. The Digitone 2, amazing piece of kit, beautiful, beautiful instrument. It's a bit tough, in my experience, to wrap your head around. As someone that doesn't come from a synthesizer background, like many of us guitar players, we don't come from this world. If you're thinking about getting into it, I would not start here. I would start, damn it, it's downstairs. I'm trying to think where okay, hold on. I would start with either a Digitact 1 or 2, or my first sampler okay, so this was in the guitar case because I was traveling when I went to Chicago for Fretboard Summit. I took this with me because it's battery powered and you can use it on the plane. It's a ton of fun. And my wife Tilly bought me this a few years ago. This was my first sampler and first intro to groove boxes. The Teenage Engineering KO2. These are really fun, really cool. A bit limited when compared to something like a Digitact or an MPC. These are a bit limited, but it is battery powered, right? I don't know what's on an empty session here. It's battery powered, bunch of really cool performance effects. It's a sampler. It's got a built-in microphone. It's really, really fun. Runs off of AAA batteries. So yeah, easy to travel with. And these are pretty affordable, especially on the used. In fact, let's see what the used market is. See what the used market's at here. So Teenage, let's see, EP 133 KO2. Let's go used. Yeah, 255. Dude, this would be a really good place to start for somebody right here. If you're curious about this world, this is a really fun piece of kit. You can do a lot with it. Look up some YouTube videos. There's a ton of videos about it. $250, you know, pick it up. I mean, and also I love Teenage Engineering, like their aesthetic. I know they get a lot of shit from people in the synth world for being overpriced. They are insanely expensive. Most of their stuff is insanely expensive, but the aesthetic value of everything they do, man, it's just so cool. So well done. Why does all teenage engineering stuff look like calculators? Well, they have a brand identity, if you will. Jared, modular. No. I can't. I have yet to really get into the modular world. Looks like an old calculator without the printer tape. I mean, I do actually think they were referencing like old calculators, but again, same kind of thing. Listen to the, like, you just want to interact with it, you know? It's got the little slider here, the little fader. Oh, it's great. Would you ever go OPXY, Landon? I've thought about it. They're crazy expensive, man. Crazy expensive. My friend Tyler has one, and he loves it. But yeah. I mean, there's a reason everyone just used the presets on a DX7, Nathan said. Isn't that how Brian Eno kind of got his start, or that's how he was earning a living for a while, was he was programming DX7 patches? Am I way off on that? I feel like there's a connection there. Like Brian Eno was doing something with the DX7 because he was like one of the few people that understood how to program the thing. Oh yeah, here we go. Except for Brian Eno. Brian Eno was like publishing DX. Okay, Nathan, you answered my own question just later in the chat. Sorry. Oh man. Cool. Well, that's going to do it for today's stream, everyone. Thank y'all for hanging out. Yeah, thanks to Sammy G for sending out the TK1. And congratulations to him for getting this thing off the ground and across the line. It is no small feat, and he did a great job with it. So props to him. I think he's going to have no problem selling out the rest of these things. I think they'll be gone by the end of the week. Again, just to reiterate, I'm not being sponsored here. I don't have any kind of affiliate link or anything with Otera Guitars or with Steve. He's just a really good friend of mine, and I think it's really cool. And when your friends do cool stuff, you should talk about it and shout them out. So yeah, appreciate y'all hanging out. I'm going to try and get back to doing live streams once a week over here. So hopefully I'll see y'all next week, and have a good one.